Hey guys, this is Waylon. I'm third Facebook Live and I'm opening the window so I have some fresh air. Check out, we got a cool bench made out of the back of an old truck here. That's my laptop bag. I'm going to sit on that so it's a little cushy for my tushy. We have another truck bench with coat racks, and then we got a Big Chill fridge over here. It's a local company. Bike and my bike. And so we've been doing these Facebook Lives. We basically just talk about whatever you want about mindfulness in everyday life. So if you have questions or comments, please come at me. In the meantime, I grew up in the Buddhist tradition, which I may have mentioned once or twice. We could start our day off or start our little time together off, if you happen to be here, with a moment of meditation. So meditation is sort of the great invention, the great app that the Buddha came up with after many years of trying everything. And he eventually gave up, which is another sort of great invention, which is kind of letting go and just being present and just being yourself. So meditation, if you're going through stress in your life, if you're going through neurotic turmoil, if you're enjoying your life thoroughly and you want to be present for that, if you want to get more work done, if you want to be able to let go of a loved one, whatever is going on, meditation is a wonderful daily practice. I'm just opening up our Facebook page so that I can see your comments. So meditation, take a good posture. You can root your sit bones if you're sitting down. This particular meditation, as we've discussed in the last two, is shamatha, S-H-A-M-A-T-A. And sorry, the computer is, of course, not being a good friend right now. So I'm going to force quit and go to our Facebook. There we are. All right, so we've done two of these now and we've had hundreds and hundreds of comments. It was super fun. Yesterday, the entire feed crashed, maybe because it was so popular or maybe because my phone is on Comcast or Xfinity and it wasn't just working out. In any case, meditation. Take a good posture. As you can tell, I'm going through some chaos in my work, so that applies for me. Take a deep breath and relax. And really touch in with your raw, naked, alive, beating little sweet heart. Which may be, whether your day has been good, bad, happy, or sad, you haven't done all day. So touch in with your heart. Feel your breath go in and out. None of this is touchy-feely, it's just practical stuff. We need to retrain our minds and our hearts to have the ability to be present. As I like to say, the present moment is the only moment anything good has ever happened in. Whether you are making love, or winning the lottery, or eating a good piece of food, or getting a promotion, you still have to experience those moments in the present moment to enjoy them. So touch in with your breath, and like a surfer, you can kind of ride it in and out. And that's about it. Let's try that for a moment. If you feel awkward meditating, if you're at a cubicle or something at work, if you're in a cafe, if you're at home, you can just label that feeling. Oh, I'm just thinking, and then return your attention to your breath. Then you can bow. You're kind of bowing to yourself and to the world, and you dedicate whatever you do to the benefit of others. So yeah, if you have comments, go for it. If not, I think maybe I'll talk about Brexit, since everyone is talking about it. I was just in a cafe and people are obsessing about it right now. It's a very scary, very exciting vote. Brexit, Britain, exit from the European Union. There's a lot of downsides to it, probably economically, travel-wise, especially for young people, people who are working anywhere in the European Union now may or may not have to return to Britain. We have some coverage all over Elephant, while the European Union with immigration and Germany being incredibly strong economically, and feelings of inefficiency, whatever, has had many issues. This represents, to our mind, or at least my mind, a mistake that's based on understandable but somewhat nationalistic urges. Britain was, and will be a great country, and didn't need to declare independence. It already was independent. It was just joining together economically and in some diplomatic areas for the benefit of its own citizens. So now the result is probably Scotland and Northern Ireland are going to also declare independence because they want to be part of the Union. Otherwise, Northern Ireland and Ireland are going to have a border again. Anyway, so if you have thoughts on that, we always encourage being mindful of the world and how we can be of benefit to the world. A lot of times our readers will say, please ignore politics. We can't. What you mean when you say that is, please don't be partisan. And what you mean when you say that is, don't be hateful. And that we agree with. But, you have to engage in the world. You have to engage in your own life on a kitchen sink level, on a grocery list level, like what are you going to buy, on a transportation level, what are you going to drive or ride or walk. Everything we do is an expression of our ethics. I have a dear friend who was a yoga teacher a couple years ago and now is working for a marketing firm, and he's marketing probably some great companies. It's mostly US based companies, which is cool, but he's also marketing, he doesn't have a choice. He has to market a lot of big chains that maybe are selling bad food to good people. And, we're in the midst of an obesity crisis. So right livelihood is the notion of living in the world and making money, and you can make a lot of money, you can still be rich, there's no problem with that, in a way that where we're still walking our talk of our ethics. So let's see if all that got some thoughts going. I just had a coffee with almond milk over at Wonder Press, which is a cool place in Boulder. Hello from Scotland, a little worried for our future now, from Katie. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a mistake, I think, but maybe everything happens for a reason, and maybe some good things will happen with that. Yeah, one of our editors is actually two of them are based in the UK and wrote about it, so there's a link in the comments if you want to comment on that. What else do we got? I got a cookie, as promised. Ashley makes cookies for our office. We give her a little money, probably not enough. She makes vegan jam dandies. This one's broken in half, so I'll have to eat it so that you can... Actually, how am I going to eat and talk? So what else is going on? In Boulder, right now, there's a sort of NIMBY, not in my backyard, movement to push out a wonderful institution called Attention Homes. They want to build a substantial facility that would house homeless youth and help them transition from any challenges they've had, including joblessness or drugs or whatever, to having a job and being clean and all that. And Attention Homes has been very successful. There's been almost no issues with their members in terms of crime or relapsing or whatever. And yet a lot of the neighbors understandably are afraid and are saying, we don't want this this sort of halfway house institution near us. And it's beautiful, it's well done, the plans are amazing. So I went to that meeting last night, and it's going to go where a parking lot is, and yet a lot of neighbors would rather have a parking lot than have an institution that can help someone's life go down, from down here to up here. I mean, many of you who are watching were blessed, hopefully, with maybe you grew up in a safe town or a safe neighborhood with one or two decent parents. And I grew up very poor, but I had a great mom and a great little home in a great little town with a great education. And so I was able to, you know, make something of myself. And I think a lot of us who have it lucky, have privilege, we almost view our lives in like a gated community, and we want to keep the sort of scary bad people out. Well, these homeless youth are not scary or bad. You know, we can just get to know them and help them have a better life. So I'd love to have your thoughts about affordable housing, homelessness, youth, how to recover from drug use, and or Brexit. All right, comments. Hey Emma. Joe 2, I am Polish, but I'm living 10 years in the UK. Here is my home, future unknown. I don't hate people for voting out, certainly not. Just I hope people will still be wise and kind for each other. Regards. Yeah, amen. I mean, I'm sure passions are inflamed over there, but I don't think anyone over here in the US hates anyone for it. But there are some anti-immigration, anti-immigrant feelings that can trend toward you know, nationalistic or even racist feelings, and that's certainly not consistent with Elephant's values. Elephant is founded on Buddhist thought, although we embrace any religion, and particularly atheists or agnostics, any religion that is focused on peace, harmony, living a good life that's also good for others on our planet. So one of our fundamental values is that we're all fundamentally, basically good. And from that point of view, we're all equal. Yeah, exactly, Lori. So, you know, having this attention homes, I encourage you to visit their website. They're in Boulder. You'll just be impressed by what they're doing. It's pretty incredible. They are less costly than prisons or hospitals or rehab. Amen. So they're actually a benefit to the taxpayer. What? Heather, I don't totally know you, but your uncle is RC, who's been working on my house, doing cool little things. He built a tree house in my backyard. That's amazing. Heather, my love to you and your family. Lori, tiny home communities for the homeless youth. Yeah, so in Boulder, we've been exploring a lot of options, including more tiny home sort of village, which would be so cool. Trailer parks, which in Boulder are stunningly creative, you know, gardens and community everywhere. You know, basically we're going through an affordable housing crisis because of our own success. It's a happy town, and the, you know, tech community has moved here because they love it. It's, they can, you know, go climbing over lunch or cycling over lunch. It's a cool town, but a lot of the tech community, you know, is more focused on work than environmental stuff, and maybe politically, some of them are a little more libertarian. All right, my own staff is giving me questions. This is charitable. All right, what are my weekend plans? I'm going to a goodbye party for a dear colleague at New Era, Colorado, amazing organization. I was on their board for a long time, like 7 years. Tonight, although I'm only gonna go for 5 minutes because I'm working tonight, and she and her husband, who's also a good friend, or was a good friend, I tend to not hang out with my friends because I work, they're moving to Massachusetts. So I was just warning them about Lyme disease, and we have some articles on Lyme disease on Elephant. Lyme disease is a total bummer. I went to high school in Vermont, and Vermont is like half taken over by Lyme disease now. It also obviously has some serious challenges with drug use. All right, Ashley, who also works with me. This is a very good Friday event where my own staff is asking me questions. Let's get some more questions or comments. The last couple we've had hundreds, which was awesome. It's a good problem to have, and I frankly need your help today. All right, what beginning Buddhist books can I recommend? I actually have a blog or a video or both on that. I think it's called Best Buddhist Books for Beginners on Elephant Journal. You can read that, but I highly recommend probably by Trungpa, Trungpa, Shambhala, the Book of Shambhala, SHAMBHALA. And then I also recommend Zen Mind, Beginner's Mind. It's a beautiful little book. I'm trying really hard not to mention Pema Chodron today. All right, Lori, the Brexit event has initiated a lot of fear. It's important we all do things to promote calm and peace and assurance rather than allow the fear to grow and run rampant. Always starts with inner peace, doesn't it? Well said, Lori. You should write something about that on elephantjournal.com. On the top, there's a write button. You know, fear is not something to run away from or to avoid or to have a stiff upper lip about, as our UK friends may be wont to do. It is something to acknowledge fully, just like in meditation practice, and then, as you said, come back to the present moment, ground yourself, and you know, and then be helpful to others. And it seems like you're on the right track. Lindsay, I didn't answer your second question. Do I have any advice on work fund balance or a recipe for renewal? I mean, the number one thing I already mentioned, right livelihood. If you love what you do, even if you're exhausted, you have energy every day to get up. It's sort of like being a parent. You know, you're exhausted, you're waking up at 2 a.m. or 3 a.m., you barely have time to exercise, or you know, you need 4 arms, you only have like 1 arm available half the time at best. And yet, hopefully, you know, if you're in love with your children, your partner, you're still inspired to get up in the morning, you're still excited. So right livelihood, our jobs are hopefully like that. I work way too much, less than I used to, but way too much, and I barely get to exercise. This morning I went for a half-hearted, like 20-minute run, which was super fun, partially inspired by the New York Times article about if you can just get half an hour of movement a day, it's by far the best thing for your mind and your health. So I went for a little run with my dog and dipped him in the creek a few times because it's hot. Imagine wearing a fur coat when it's 90 degrees out. And it was just beautiful to be outside and see the sunshine and try and get back into shape a little bit. All right, and then renewal. Did I answer your question? Work fun balance. I mean, I really have a lot of fun. I try and work in cafes. We have a beautiful, fun office. It's not expensive. I mean, it's not cheap, but we, you know, everything, all the furniture is either from my house or Craigslist. Like, you don't have to spend tons of money to have an enjoyable work environment. You just have to kind of engage with the community. And my Craigslist tip is search for whatever you want on Craigslist. It's secondhand, it's used, so it's super eco. You can usually get it pretty cheap. You know, offer a price you're comfortable with and say, if it's in great shape, no issues, and you can drop it off at my house, I'm happy to pay cash. And 99% of the time, people will drop it off for you. And if there's, and you've already said, if there's any issues, you know, like if there's a damage that you don't know about, then you don't have to buy it. It's cool when you guys like it or comment or something, these little things flit across the screen. I enjoy that. Thank you, Facebook. All right, weekend plans. Other than that, farmer's market is tomorrow. That's where I do my grocery shopping and kind of, I call it free therapy. It's sunshine and children. And, you know, Saturdays I often get, historically I get into a little bit of depression because I'm exhausted and I just stay home and I kind of crash. So it's really helpful for me to actually kind of do the opposite, force myself to get on my bike with my dog, go to farmer's market, get my groceries, see people, drink some coffee. I often sit on these steps and drink coffee and people kind of come say hello. And after half an hour of talking with people, I am human again, you know? And then, yeah, there's some other event party stuff I can't really remember. But basically, I'm going to work. I enjoy working. I'm going to try and get to the pool. How many of you have been to the pool? Say, Waylon, you're a fool if you've been to the pool. I have not been to the pool all summer, but I'm hoping to bring my hotspot on my phone and go. All right, hotspot because I'm going to have to work at the pool. All right, sorry guys, I'm all over the place. Tatiana, wish we had something like that here in Rapid City, South Dakota, or even to help on the Pine Ridge Reservation, but politics, close-mindedness. Yeah, Tatiana, my Buddhist teachers would always say, if you wish something, just make it happen, or engage with the community and find other people to make it happen. Obviously, it's easier said than done, but if you would like an introduction to the Attention Homes folks, you can leave that in the comments and I'll introduce you, and maybe they can help. All right. I hope I've answered your question, Lindsay. There's some links to my favorite Buddhist books. What are the mantras that are most meaningful to you? Natasha. Thank you, Natasha. Rondo. In my Buddhist tradition, we do a lot of chants, like morning chants, evening chants. The chants are like hymns in Sunday school. They're just reminders about what is important and mindful. Brought to you by Elephant. And those aren't really mantras, but they have mantras in them. And then, I did various mantra practices when I was younger. I don't, frankly, really do them anymore. I feel like shamatha, the Shambhala training stuff I've done, I really recommend any of you check out Shambhala training. You can go to the Friday Night Talk free. It's pretty affordable overall. They're not going to try and get you in some cult, at least for a while. It's just really accessible. It's training for anyone from any religion just to be what they call a warrior, a peaceful warrior. But Natasha, maybe you could tell us what mantras are helpful in your life. We have lots of articles on mantras on Elephant, but a lot of it gets kind of new agey for me. All right. Sending a big thank you from Estella Lugo. Where do you live? Mention where you live. Sending a big thank you for publishing an article I wrote for Elephant Journal a few years back on the benefits of yoga for people with disabilities. I still receive wonderful feedback from people who also suffer from Charcot Marie Tooth, sorry if I'm mispronouncing, and have found peace and health through regular practice. Estella, if you can leave that link in the comments, we'll read it and we'll reshare it today on our Elephant Yoga page on Facebook. Thank you, and please write again. Oh yeah, Lindsay put in a link. Thank you, Lindsay. Lindsay's sort of our, is running this. She's like the lady in the airplane who runs everything. She's leaving a blog about Lyme disease. It's incredible. I had a friend who runs the garden at Carmichaeling in Vermont who has Lyme disease, and he's something like a fourth generation gardener and farmer, and he's been in agony and can barely work or move, do what he loves. And he did all the natural remedies, and they haven't really helped that much. And then I had another friend who's the director of Carmichaeling who did all the conventional remedies, and they didn't really help that much. I mean, Lyme disease is just devastating. I think I might even move to Vermont if it weren't for Lyme disease. I miss it. Joe 2, thank you for your response. Could I ask you how to deal with emotionally with unknown future, which is not stable for me and my kids? Well, Joe 2, there's two answers to that question. Number one, everything is unknown. There's a fantastic quote, if you Google it, by Pema Chodron. There's another one by Trungpa Rinpoche. Trungpa Rinpoche's quote is something like, the bad news is you're falling through the air without a parachute. And the good news is that there's no ground. So you're not going to go like in those old cartoons. So fundamentally, you're okay, and everything is unknown, everything is interdependent, everything is impermanent for all of us. And many of us, maybe if we're wealthy or, what's that movie, Citizen Kane, we're trying to make everything solid and fixed and serious. Or My Fair Lady, everything has to be perfect how I want it. But really, everything falls apart, and that's the good news. Like in My Fair Lady, when this young lady comes into his life, she disrupts everything, and he starts enjoying his life for the first time, and having a sense of humor about himself in his life for the first time in a long time. So embrace that. But the second advice, of course, is more practical, which is, first of all, my heart goes out to you. My mom raised me with almost no money. I don't think she ever made more than $12,000 a year, and we lost our house basically because we couldn't pay for it. And she worked a couple jobs. She was very hardworking. So you do need some stability financially and otherwise for yourself and your children. So anything practically you can do, financial advice. My number one advice would be transparent, be open, really reach out to people, whether on Facebook or in cafes, your friends, get financial advice. Make sure you have income enough to pay for what your children need. And the number one advice is, if you can move or be in a safe community where your children can get a good education, even if you're poor, like my mom was super poor, I got a great education. You know, there was a great article in the New York Times recently, which someone could leave in the link in the comments if you can find it, but don't bother looking for it if you don't think you can find it, because I can't remember what it was called. But it basically just said the number one factor in someone, you know, moving up in the world is education. So, Joe, too, maybe everyone can like her comment and give her some love. Stephen Fallon, yeah, so please extend some empathy and courage to Joe, too, if you can. Stephen Fallon, how often should a lay person retreat? That is a fantastic question. I think, you know, probably once or twice a year. It's fantastic if you can get away to a place like Shambhala Mountain Center. That's where I love to go. You know, even hot springs or something. But if you can just go somewhere and not entertain yourself and actually just be, maybe go for hikes, meditate, really just kind of renew yourself. I think that's fantastic. Stephen, great question. I mean, I would put that back on you. How often do you think and where do you like to go? I'd love to hear more from you. Ashley, what is my favorite local pool and why? You know that. Ashley is a longtime buddy and colleague. And we love to go bicycle out to El Dorado Springs Pool, where you're swimming in cold spring water. It's pretty cold, so it's got to be a hot day. It's this old resort that's now super dilapidated but beautiful, and you're swimming in spring water, not all those chemicals. And you're surrounded by El Dorado Canyon, which is this famous climbing canyon. And you know, biking there, it's like a 40-minute bike ride, so you get all hot and you exercise. You dip your feet in a stream on the way to cool down. And it's always the best day of my year every time I go. Unfortunately, I rarely go. My second favorite would be Spruce Pool, which is where I grew up living. I grew up 2 blocks from it and just went every day. Emma, what are some relaxing movies you might suggest to unwind with? Wow, that's a great question. I have a blog with a long title called something like If We Were in Love and We Were in a Cabin and We Were Gonna Curl Up, these are the movies I would want to watch. It's everything from like Toshiro Mifune, Kurosawa movies to, which may not be relaxing, but they're fantastic, to, you know, About a Boy, to Chariots of Fire, North by Northwest, you know, everyone on earth loves Princess Bride. A recent one I saw that I just loved was About Time, I think it was called. People seen that? If someone, Ashley or Lindsay, you can find that blog. Something to do, it's a very things I'd like to do with you kind of title that I wrote years before I wrote my first book this year. But the title of that blog is something like If We Were in Love and Watching Movies. These are the movies I would want to show you. So, Alexandra, where do I want to travel to next and why? Alexandra, I don't really travel much because I just work all the time. But a couple years ago, I was forced to attend a wedding in Sweden with a friend who was getting married to her dear friend, Rachel Brathen. She's a yoga girl. She's a genuine human being and a good friend and advocate for animals and all kinds of good stuff. And her husband, Dennis Schoenfeld. And so I finally got out of the U.S. for basically the first time in my, at that time, 39.9 years. So I went to Israel first, to Tel Aviv, which was amazing. I wanted to go to the, you know, cross the border, but at the time there was all kinds of strife, and I couldn't. Sorry, there's a trash truck or something. And then I went to Sweden to the wedding, and those videos are on youtube.com/elephantjournal. Me talking with Rachel and Dennis right before they got married. And then I went to Florence in Italy with Peggy Markel, and that was amazing. I'd love to go to Japan and really to the countryside and to the old, you know, the old historic sites. I really love Japan, and I'd love to go there. And it would just be such a experience of a completely different culture than anything I'm familiar with. All right. Hey, Dusty. Joe Tooth, thank you. Violet, yeah, thanks for popping in. Although I'm talking to myself because you're gone. Stephen, I live in Ireland and have only retreated once in Scotland. Would like to once a year and work up to twice a year. Twice a year sounds good. All right, folks. Well, this is our third Facebook Live. If you have any final comments, I'll refresh. Otherwise, I'm going to bid you adieu, and we'll be doing this Monday through Friday. A little bit of meditation, a little mindful tip of the day, and then questions and answers and comments, discussion. So the entire series is called, I believe, Mindful Tips for Everyday Life, and hopefully this has been fun. Today has been a little, maybe all over the place, but you know, it's Friday and everyone's thinking about the weekend. So have a great weekend, and our love to you. By far the best way to interact with Elephant, if you want our best stuff, if you're wanting better content, better articles, is to get our newsletter. It's free. elephantjournal.com/join-the-cause. elephantjournal.com/join-the-cause. Or you can just click free newsletter at the top of every page of Elephant Journal. Other than that, I got really nothing I'm pushing. Basically, you know, the Facebook algorithm will only show you the most popular stuff. That tends to not be our most quality stuff. So please get that newsletter, and then you'll like us more. Alexandra, thank you. Yeah, I do work too much, but you know, I feel bad about that in my life. But at the same time, we all want to be a benefit and create a better world and a kinder world, and that feels good. So it's a trade-off. Thank you so much. We could all bow, if you like, to each other and to our British friends. Jolly good luck.